Groovebox users, hip-hop producers, Big Bang here. I'm here to talk about the MPC Live a little bit and exploding tracks. I had watched some tutorials and watched how some guys were trying to track out some of their drum parts specifically. Sometimes when I'm working with the MPC, when I'm making a beat, I forget to separate each sound on a different track, and so I make the whole beat on one track. Now the problem I was having is when I made the beat on one track, a lot of tutorials out there say that you can go and export the beat and explode the tracks, and it'll separate them out into separate WAV file stems. I tried that numerous times, and I didn't have any success with that. I saw a couple other tutorials where guys were copying program tracks. So if they had 5 drum tracks, they would make 5 duplicate program tracks and then copy all the tracks over and explode them that way. I don't use a laptop with my MPC Live. I strictly use it as a Groovebox. Some will beg to differ, argue that it's not a Groovebox, but it's a standalone unit, and that's why I love it. Anyway, so I was having these issues with exploding my drum tracks because I made a beat that I really liked and I wanted to track it out, so I started doing vocals. So what I came to the conclusion of was what you need to do is you need to track out your beat, put everything on its own separate track. Kick on a track, snare on its own track, hi-hat, whatever sounds you're using, use separate tracks. When I did this and exported the beat, I exploded the track that way and exported the beat. It broke it all out into separate WAV file stems, and I saved it onto an external memory card, put it right in my computer, opened it up in Pro Tools, bam, beat was ready to go, ready to lay vocals, and I love that. It was really fast. So for a lot of you guys making beats that want to track out your beats, you can save a lot of time if you're not using a laptop like me by just putting each sound on a different track. So I can show you the process of what I did, and hopefully this might help you out. It took me a lot of trial and error to figure it out, but I found a way that works. It works fast, and I'm happy about it. Okay, so when I was working on my beat, I'm in this window here. So basically you can see these are all the tracks that I have used. There is 10 tracks that I used on this beat. The beat is so that's my beat. And so when I had made the beat, I had put it all on one track. So I had to go back and put each sound on a separate track here. I'm using sequence 02. So now to export this, you would come up here, just tap there, and if you look here, I was on sequence 2. So you go to sequence 2, and sorry about that. Okay, so here's my sequence 2 here, and there's all the tracks that I'm using. Now I didn't go through and name any of the tracks or anything like that, but these are all my tracks. So you hit export, explode tracks. Normally default will be stereo output. So I hit explode tracks, your bit rate, your sample rate, your bit depth, sorry, WAV, AIFF, or MP3. I prefer WAV. I like to use 24-bit 96, and import everything into Pro Tools. But anyway, so now you hit export, and then my external thumb drive here, and you can save it. I already had done this. I had saved it under Beat 5, and as you can see, all the tracks were saved as individual stems, and it was a 4-bar loop. So what I had done was imported into Pro Tools and copied and pasted the beat and made it as long as I needed it. So I hope that helps some of you beat makers and producers out there. I know I was having a tough time with it and was getting a little frustrating, but I figured out a way that works. Hopefully that way can work for you. And I think it's mainly if you don't have a laptop. If you have a laptop, maybe it makes it a little bit easier. Mine is old and it doesn't run a lot of software, and it runs an old machine of mine, and I don't want to update the software because last time I did that, my machine wouldn't work and I couldn't get any of my beats to play, and that was another issue in itself. Anyway, I'm here to help out and meet other engineers and people who are using groove boxes. I'm really intrigued on how you track things out in Pro Tools and stuff like that, and I hope you could like, subscribe, and I'll do the same thing to you guys. And I'd like to build a good little community out here for producers and beat makers to help each other out. And good luck with your beat making. Drop them hits. Peace. Big Man out.